Our ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, laid out a clear agenda for reform, but despite reported and repeated warnings, no action at all was taken. So the United States took the only responsible course. We withdrew from the Human Rights Council, and we will not return until real reform is enacted. For similar reasons, the United States will provide no support in recognition to the International Criminal Court. As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority. The ICC claims near universal jurisdiction over the citizens of every country, violating all principles of justice, fairness, and due process. We will never surrender America's sovereignty to an unelected, unaccountable global bureaucracy.
Trump's decision to come out of ICC, which is International Criminal Court, sends a lot of signals and a lot of happiness to some of us. From time of the inception of ICC, David MATSANGA and others, I want to thank David Hoyle, my professor, Professor Hoyle in London. Thank you very much for mentoring me. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya. Viewers, wherever you are in Africa, thank you very much for keeping the pace with African events, what is taking place in Africa. Thank you very much, viewers, wherever you are in Sub-Saharan Africa, together with our South Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation partners and colleagues in Berlin. Thank you very much for watching us all the time. If you miss any news on any of our platforms, you can later on have it on free to air and free to view television station of our partners. Together we are the Pan-African stations that actually broadcast all the way to 150 million worth households in Sub-Saharan Africa and the rest of the world. Thank you very much for watching us. Thank you. Continue the patronage. This afternoon, also this evening, sorry, we are going to have MATSANGA Africa Perspective. Mother Africa. Which way? Which way, Mother Africa? Most of you who are students in schools have requested that I have to do some of these topics that can enlighten them on several aspects of African politics. I want to continue to do that. As long as I have the iota of living, I'll do that. I will bring out issues that affect Africa. I will bring out matters. I will defend this continent. I will expose the few toxins that would like to bring chaos to the African continent. African continent is a blessed continent. It's a continent that has almost everything. But what has happened to us? Why have we killed the same continent? That is the question. Why do we kill? Corruption has destroyed this continent. Corruption, graft, ethnicity, electoral violence, regime change sponsored by the Western world has destroyed Africa. External forces are working day and night. A second recolonization of Africa comes. It is here. You don't need a signal. It is here. So it is here, from here, that we need to know why Africa has gone the way it is going. Why are we having regime change being sung from Algeria, going down to Sudan, now going to Eritrea? Why? Why Africa? Who is sponsoring this? Events of last week in Sudan put us at crossroads, but not me, because I have known who is regime changing, and that regime change is coming. Like it or leave it, don't hate me, I don't mind. The truth is coming. If we are not careful, we shall find a second recolonization of Africa coming through violent regime change, violent demonstrations that destroy, burn the entire cities, destroy our cities, destroy the properties, destroy human lives before we achieve what we should have achieved. There is a tendency of people not knowing that Europe is out to make sure that this Africa does not stand as it is. Yes, this Africa pains so many people. Which way, Madagascar? Where are you going? From the west to the east, north to the south, the boiling point remains conflict. In Amazonia, for example, in Amazonia you have conflict between Amazonians and the Cameroon French-speaking people. From 1961, Resolution 1608 of the General Assembly of the United Nations General Assembly, a decision was made that this country called Amazonia be created for the people of Africa, created for the people of Amazonia to live as a state alongside the French Cameroon. President after president, Ahijo, gave to Paul Biya, 89 years old, has stuck. He doesn't care. He doesn't care a damn how many people are being killed on daily basis. He doesn't care how many refugees are flowing in Kenyan capital, Nairobi, to find asylum because his country is killing people. He doesn't care how many women are sleeping without food in the forests of the tropics of Cameroon. He doesn't care how many priests, Kenyan priests, killed in that place by his army. He doesn't care how many children have not gone to school. Paul Biya continues to be one of the most lethal dictators that have lived in the south of Sahara, that people are saying time is coming. I want to thank the United States of America, the Great Britain, Her Majesty the government, for having listened to some of us. My letter that was dated sometime 12th of September last year, asking the British government to intervene in the situation in Amazonia. I want to thank the MPs in the House of Commons who have brought it to the attention of international level that engagement with a view of a dual state system in Cameroon will happen. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you, Margaret Beckett, the former Secretary of State Baroness, for having been very handy to support some of my pro bono efforts on this continent and in this world. I want to thank you, Catherine Bond, wherever you were, Madam Catherine, for having supported whatever we have been doing. I want to take this opportunity to thank James, Sir James, for having helped. This is the type of lobby that we need to make sure that Africa does not plunge itself into the wars that we see. My Mother Africa, where are you? Which way, Mother Africa? Look at the situation in the Central African Republic. War criminals. The French supported a government to loot the minerals. The minerals. What is making people fight in the Central African Republic? There is no scenery for tourism. It is only minerals. Which way, Africa? Are we sitting watching Africa perish? Today, if you look at what happened in Sudan, it is a well-orchestrated, supplied, equipped regime change mechanism. Fine. General Bashir must have had his own bad side, whatever people can say. But for every human being, there is a struggle. As far as Pan-Africanism is concerned, General Bashir was a Pan-African. General Bashir stood for an African icon. He might have overstayed in power, which is not for me to measure. It's for the Sudanese to decide. But as a Pan-African, his indictment into the ICC was a fake indictment, supported, equipped by powers that wanted to dismember Sudan. The powers that wanted to dismember Sudan create a division within the Sudanese people, from Darfur to South Sudan. What you see in South Sudan today is supposed to have been in Darfur. Thank you very much, General Bashir, for accepting and agreeing to stop that war once for all. The people of Darfur can find their way out. The people of Darfur can stand and decide. They decided indeed in a referendum that they remain part and parcel of the greater Sudan. What we see in South Sudan today, we see a regime that has turned on black man against another black man. There was exploitation of the North Arab versus the South, the Black South. This time, Salva Kiir versus Riek Machar. I hope, with all what I've said about South Sudan, I bet, after kissing his feet, after the Pope kissing the feet, there is a serious chance that there will be peace. But should they abrogate the kisses that they were given on the feet, you better go and read the Vatican, the formation of Vatican, and how the Italian systems work. Viewers, from Gabon, we've moved to Sudan. No, from Cameroon, Sudan. Let's look in Sudan, the factors. The first military coup goes down. First General Aouf, he was part of the indictees of the International Criminal Court. There comes General Fatah and the others leading a council of other military people, including General Daklo. Sources from our correspondent, as we shall see as I sit down to analyze and talk to our senior correspondent, one of our security correspondent, Dr. Ali Mohta, who is in Khartoum right now in the Cafeji Hotel. We shall be talking to him to find out more about what is happening in Sudan. Viewers, I entertain your comments. Those are opening remarks. Which way, Mother Africa? Do we wait George Soros to arrive at our doorsteps? Do we say, why can't we change? Why can't Africa change? Why don't we make laws that can make the people satisfied? Why do we stay? I looked at Uganda today. They are telling me in Uganda, there is no money to make constitutional changes. An election is approaching in Uganda. It's only 2021, Uganda will go to the polls. They need constitutional changes. I have maintained that elections in Uganda are not rigged by stuffing ballot papers. The elections in Uganda are rigged by gerrymandering, a process where smaller constituencies are left to the ruling party and the big commercial enterprise constituencies are left. I cannot take part in such an election where gerrymandering has taken place. That's my position. Those who want to take part, I wish you good luck. And I will never be part of an election that I know is gerrymandered. I've studied the subject of political science to a level, international level, that even if you give me an exam, when I'm doing it blind eyes, I will pass. I cannot take part in a sham, not organize elections. That President Museveni will win by 12 midday is correct. Our parties are dismantled, disgruntled, disintegrated. There is apathy in opposition parties. Each party leader wants to rule. Which way Africa? Which way Mother Africa? Give us a sign. Give us a sign. When you look at how South Sudan has ashamed the whole of East Africa, a sick child of East Africa, which way Africa then? People going to the extent of making the Pope to kiss their feet in order to agree to make a better South Sudan. What a shame to Africa. Millions of women being killed in South Sudan. What a shame. Children not going to school in South Sudan. What a shame. A country with oil and has no money in the bank. What a shame. Which way Africa? Which way Africa? How long are we going to have this type of disintegration that goes on daily, that mutilates, that changes colors? Above all, external forces are willing and ready, stand by to make sure that Africa collapses. Let's take a break. When I come back, I want to make a special announcement regarding some people have written a Twitter, on their Twitter handle. They have forwarded me a message to read to the Ministry of Health in Kenya to understand the difficulties of cancer patients. Something is not tying up. And our community television station, ours, we don't fear. We say it as it is. And the people have come, over 1,000 people have sent me the message, and they have said I should say it to the Ministry of Health so that the Ministry of Health can stand quickly tomorrow. Wake up and go and do what I'm going to tell you what is happening. President Uhuru Kenyatta said, we do fight for Africa, for Kenya. Help him to fight corruption. We are not going to keep quiet when something is wrong. Cancer patients and other people are suffering, and yet what they are suffering from is not the medicine, but what can help them to have their lives. And it is in this country, it has been disorganized. Some red tape has caused the problem. Stay tuned. I come back the second time. Don't go away. Which way, Mother Africa? Thank you.
We call for a non-violent revolution. We call for a non-violent protest. We call for a non-violent march. This is what we are demonstrating to the world, and we have resisted Mr. Biya's army of occupation in our land, but this is a moment that we must continue to stand firm.
Of this nation.
Along with many other Cameroonians, many of you, as far back as the early 90s, and more frequently lately, I have insisted upon the imperative nature of genuine dialogue. Unfortunately, the government's solution has been cosmetic reforms and repression. Teachers, lawyers who raised legitimate concerns were either arrested or forced into exile. Doctors, important people in our society who asked for genuine dialogue, were met with punitive transfers and humiliation. It is regrettable that the government hasn't learned from the past.
We are ambassadors. We don't need anything again. The only solution to the matter is let the government solve this problem by giving our independent freedom.
We have a territory of our own. We recognize international boundaries. We have a language. We have a culture. We have our own laws. We have everything that is required by international standards to be a people and a nation and a state. The UN must give us this right.
We as a people, we have the right to self-determination, and we are determined to go our separate ways.
The people of the Southern Cameroons have suffered under the brutal regime of the annexationists, La République du Cameroon. We have suffered for 56 years, and we finally decided that enough is enough.
I think dialogue is the main solution, because the use of military has never been a solution to a problem concerning this kind of issues. So the government of Cameroon has to dialogue with the Anglophone regions to come to a compromise and let this problem be solved.
Now, we want to inform the whole world that the Southern Cameroonian prisoners of conscience in the jails of Yaoundé are on the second day of their declared hunger strike. Now, we want the entire world to know, because we are convinced that the regime in Yaoundé will be indifferent until they begin to die. While we encourage our brothers in this process, we also call on Southern Cameroonians to join them in a fasting, so that the whole world may know that we are a determined people.
Self-determination cannot be effective without self-defense. We are opposed to violence. We are opposed to war. But if La République, if the UN should continue to dilly-dally as they are doing, and La République comes now to attack our people, they are forced, they are bound by the law of nature to defend themselves.
Hail, this land of glory, we the Amazonians pledge our loyalty.
Welcome back, viewers, to our show Matsanga Africa Perspective. In this second segment, I will cross over to Khartoum in Sudan to hear from our on-ground live correspondents who are on the ground right in the general headquarters and in the other offices and in hotels, where they are to hear live what they are saying, what is on the ground. Have demonstrations ended? Which way Africa? That's the topic this evening. Viewers, before I work on that, there is several people on Twitter have requested me, and they have sent us, we would like facts, and we stick on facts, because we don't want to taint anybody's name. We talk from the point of facts. We have received complaints from a company by name, several complaints have been lodged by a company known as Stoma Center Kenya. Stoma Center Kenya is an organization that deals mostly with equipment and with cancer-related illness. This company, viewers, and the Honorable Minister or CS for Health, Madam Sis Kariuki, and your PA and whatever have tagged you to listen to what I'm going to tell you, because this is the only way we can solve this situation. The cancer patients are saying they have since December requested for permission to import or to bring in those bags that are used by cancer patients that are out of stock in these hospitals. And many patients of cancer are suffering because there is a company that gives them for free from Canada that said they wanted to bring them into the country. From December, they have requested for that permission for those goods to be brought so that they can help the cancer patients and hospitals within this country. They are not for sale. They are goods that a group like that one has said, but it has got roadblocks, several of them being cabs. They haven't given them exemption, and mainly because cabs is the only one that can give, and the ministry. So can the Ministry of Health take up this message from Storm Kenya, a company called, and the contact name for this company is Muthoni Njoroge. Muthoni Njoroge can be contacted. She is in charge of this company, Stoma Center Kenya, and she can give you quite a lot of information why there are roadblocks, yet these bags are needed in the country for the cancer patients, those who are recovering, or those who are being treated in hospitals. Those bags are missing. From December, this is April, they requested for this permission. Surely you expect President Uhuru Kenyatta to come to order you to give permission to these people to get the goods which are free. There's no corruption involved here. The company in Canada would like to give the bags to the people of Kenya because there is need to save patients. These are some of the topical issues that we deal with. So the Minister of Health, I tagged you to hear this, that the representative, Madam Muthoni Njoroge, can you please contact the ministry? The matter is now public, and we are going to make it public tomorrow. My staff or anchors will broadcast to show why KEBS has delayed in issuing a certification for these goods to be brought into the country. Thank you very much. I think that is one of the way we help the world. We don't help to get kickbacks. I don't know why the KEBS people are not giving this particular organization permission to bring bags that are needed in Kenyatta Hospital, Nairobi Hospital, and other hospitals for the patients. This is a group that is doing, a volunteer group that is supplying those bags that are needed by cancer patients. Madam Muthoni Njoroge, I hope that now satisfies your needs, the message, the people hearing this message for the president and other people and the Minister of Health. They will try to do it. We do it that way and we finish it that way. Those who are taking notes, the Minister of Health needs to look at that matter seriously. Back to the subject. Our topic today, which way Mother Africa? Which way Mother Africa? A lot of us have talked about how changes are coming in Africa. Viewers, let's go back and see Nigeria. Let's begin with Nigeria. When you look at Nigeria, you find that Nigeria is one of the populous countries in Africa. But the events in Nigeria make you cry tears. Nigeria organized an election early this year. Only 2 hours to the opening of the polls, they cancelled the election. That election was marred with irregularities that out of 84 million people, only, and I repeat, only 28 million voted. 54 million people never voted. They disappeared in somewhere in the woods of the tropics of southeast Nigeria and in the Sahel region. Nigerian elections were marred with irregularities, violence, killing of opponents, removal of the Chief Justice, selection of which votes and the places can have ballot papers. On March 18th, Atiku Abubakar issued a legal note challenge of irregularities. Accordingly to his parallel tallying center, as you know, Africa, everybody has brought a parallel tallying center, which is the architect of the French hegemony on Africa. The Buhari camp has rejected all these claims. Meanwhile, the inauguration of President Buhari is going to take place on 29th May, almost certainly that they are aware that the ruling will go in favor of His Excellency General Buhari. So when you look at the elections of that nature in Nigeria, 54 million people don't vote. 28, a population of 220 million people. The most populous country in Africa. We hope to do trade with it. But they have already started violence. Regime change is about to come. When you look at Boko Haram, on one side, eating the people of North Maiduguri area, which were Africa. When you look at Biafra, the Igbo people, saying we need a free and a fair election. 60 million, over 80 million people out of a population of 200. They said we need a free and a fair, we need our own a referendum to decide whether we can be in a place where we are discriminated. Ethnicity in Africa has been at the center of all our conflicts. Corruption. Nigeria is a country with the highest type of corruption that you have never seen on this continent of Africa. A country that produces oil, eats the oil, dries the oil, but there is no petrol in the petrol stations in Nigeria. Surely, is this the country that we think we look at as an African model? Can Nigeria be an African model? A Nigeria which does not allow freedom of press, freedom of choice, freedom of association, freedom of assembly. A Nigeria that does not give you a lifeline. A Nigeria that has got political prisoners. A country in Africa with political prisoners still, people being captured on political reasons. Is this the Africa we want? Is this the Africa that we want warrants of arrest issued against the Nigerian people. Namdi Khan and others are in exile. Those inside Nigeria, they don't talk. Pangas and the machetes and the daggers, in millions of them, are being bought. Whom are you buying these daggers for? Are you buying the daggers to kill animals? Recently in Nigeria, over 100,000 to 1 million daggers were found in containers. What do they use these daggers, long knives, for what? Whom are they going to slaughter? Are there so many animals in Nigeria that we can buy such daggers to kill each other? Is this the Africa we want? Definitely, which way Africa? We have looked at Sudan, and let's cross over to Sudan to talk to our correspondent, Dr. Ali Mokhtar, who is right now in Sudan capital, who will tell us exactly what is going on in the Sudan capital right now. Dr. Ali Mokhtar, you are watching, you better stand on standby and you receive our phone as it is. So the situation in all African countries seem to be charged in a manner that most of these African countries, there is a new wave of revolution. Hello?
Yes.
Hello, Dr. Ali Mokhtar.
Yes, how are you doing?
Good evening in Khartoum.
Good evening to you. Good evening, sir.
I believe it is 20 minutes to 7 o'clock in Khartoum.
Yes.
Thank you very much. From the position where you are right now in Khartoum, give us a breakdown. What is new? What is not happening? What is going to happen? What do you think has been achieved?
I think there is a lot of promising from the new leadership. This afternoon, the deputy president for the military council has come down, General Muhammad Hamdan Doglo, to come and address the public in the front of the military command. And he came with all the soldiers to come and clean the area and promising them everything the people demand, he's going to do them accordingly. And this is what is happening now, and convincing them, engaging them in the meetings. And I think that's a big promising part of it. So this morning, since yesterday, the ambassadors have been meeting with him officially, congratulating him for what he has done. Italian ambassador, the British ambassador, and then the European Union ambassador, and the Netherlands ambassador. So that is showing the international community are welcoming the new initiative and the new leadership. And there is now engagement and meetings since morning with the members of the military council, engaging the other political parties so that to nominate those who are going to be in the civil government. And the demand is still, there is some like judiciary has to be taken away, and the high court has to be taken away from the military council to be given to the civil government. And these are the demands that is still pending. And to have to release, because there are some people who have not been released, those who have been arrested since December 19 until today. Some of them have been released and some of them are not been released. Those who have been taken by the national security. And these are the concern. So the junior officers who have been arrested, those who stood from the 9th of April, those who stood with the people on the ground, supporting them, to protect them, they were arrested, but they have been released this morning, and some of them they have been released yesterday. So that is what is happening on the ground, and the people, for the first time, who have been in exile for 20-something years or 30 years of the ruling regime, some of them have come back yesterday night, and they flew to Khartoum through the Ethiopian airline. And when they land down, the first thing they say, the slogan of that anybody who will stand against them, they have to crush them. That is the slogan that has been used in Arabic. So there's people who have been away in Saudi Arabia, other places, those in the US, they have come back, and some of them, they have even pledged, those who are scientists and those of doctors, professors, that they are coming to help as a technocrat to help the country to stand and to get his glory back. This is what is happening now.
Okay, as you said, the military has come down. The General Doklu, my friend, I think I'll give you special greetings to deliver. General Doklu is now in charge. He's the man, it looks like he's the one in operating seat, because the president himself, the head of the military council, is not coming out to discuss yet, but they have divided roles. So General Doklu addressed the people today, fine, and I told them, are people moving out of the square going home?
They are doing joining of cleaning the area, and they still say we are going to be here until everything's met. But he has promised them they are going to build this country together for the better country.
Now, there are reports that this uprising has spread over to Eritrea. Is that true?
These are the slogan people has used there. They say the next one to be taken away, because that is a dictator, that is a regime. These are the slogans there. They are putting those slogans. It is like now is the time for the African, those dictators who are around in Africa, that their time is coming, because everybody is using this slogan even in their other nations. And this is what is happening.
Because we saw posters in the Sudan demonstration. You sent posters from the Sudan demonstration showing that the Sudanese are saying next is Asmara. Is that true?
Yeah, they are saying, the slogan is saying next is this Asmara, the dictator, Siasa Fogi, and they say they should learn from Sudan. They should learn from Sudan how these people can uprising and demand as the public and demand as people for the right and to have peace and justice.
For the convenience of listeners and the viewers, who is sponsoring this? Who is sponsoring this regime change?
As I said the other day, the sponsor is not just from outside. The sponsor are the business community who are not loyal to the regime government, the previous government. So the business group, even they are putting their signposts into that place, and then they are the one doing the sponsor, and the other business people in diaspora, and those who are sending money for this uprising to continue. So this is what is happening exactly.
What is the relationship between Sudan and the Chad now?
The relationship between Sudan and Chad used to be in some chaos before, but now with the new leadership, there is an exchange of greetings and blessing. So the new leadership has started even contacting nations to build a new bridge between those nations because of the broken bridges between them. as a nation of Sudan.
Any sign of General Bashir anywhere?
As the information and the sources is under the house arrest, and this is what General Doglo, the deputy president of the military council, said by himself in the media and to the people when they are in the meetings with the other opposition leaders.
Any sign to reassure our viewers and the listeners that General Bashir will not be handed over to the ICC, because reports coming from The Hague is the chief prosecutor is asking the new government to hand over General Bashir and others to the ICC. Is that the position that they have refused? They will not hand over, they will not cooperate with the ICC.
The new leadership is still insisting that Bashir and the others because the decree came out this morning for all the National Congress Party members.
Sorry, we had a cut, an interruption with our correspondent in Khartoum. That is Dr. Mukhtar Ali Mukhtar, who is our correspondent in Khartoum. And thank you very much, our correspondent. Thank you very much for listening for us. And we shall, oh, there we are. He is back. Thank you very much. As you see the events, the new government in Khartoum says it will not hand over General Bashir with others to the ICC, because ICC is now lost, is a body without any. Oh, we have Dr. Ali Mukhtar. Yes. Thank you very much, sir.
Sorry for the networks.
Yes, thank you very much. We thought that General Duklu has come to see you. Thank you. Is there this? That is the message that the international community has been waiting for. There will be no handover of General Bashir, but he will be tried in the Sudanese courts. Is that the truth?
Yes, this is true. This is true because they have done it with the regime of Nimer before, and this is what they are going to do here again.
There are so many of our viewers. Some of them are saying they hand over Bashir for ICC crimes. Yes, these crimes can be tried in Sudan. Sudan has a rigorous legal system. I don't think there is need for handing over an African to a falling, collapsing agency which has been described by Americans as useless. So thank you very much, all viewers. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Mukhtar. I will disturb you again if there is any new breaking news. At night, I am 24 hours alive. I am on the engine throughout 24 hours. May God help you.
You're welcome.
Keep quiet, keep calm, and take more coffee. I believe Carthage, there is more coffee in Carthage Hotel.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was our correspondent. That was our correspondent, Dr. Ali Mukhtar, right from Khartoum, the capital city of Sudan. Viewers, that's the life which way Africa and which way Mother Africa. Oh God, let me look at people's sentiments. Aha, so many people have written, and oh my God, ooh, this is too much. So many people have written so many things. Obote P. Jero, are you related to my my mentor, Dr. Milton Obote? No African leader must be handed to still ongoing African oppression by the West. Yes, thank you very much. You think like Obote and myself. I got anyone, former president of Sudan, Omar Bashir, be handed over to the ICC with the rest of his associates. with whom he committed crimes against humanity for the 30 years. No, Mr. Gwen got, for the first time on that one we disagree. ICC is collapsing, and therefore no African should be looking that side for any justice. We can have justice within our own boundaries, within our own borders. There is no need of shipping Africans to go and stand trial in Europe. Nowhere. That one has got to be. The earlier we started this campaign, the better. Whether you like me or you don't like me, I'm not bothered. But there's no African who should go and stand trial in that cold place. Which case has gone through? Babugo was detained for nothing. Bemba for nothing. Thomas Lubanga for nothing. The Kenyan case, zero. What court do you expect? What results do you expect? To punish our people, to spend our money, us traveling all the way to The Hague for nothing that will come? No. Africa must look after its own interests. Let's move on. Mahuta Makwaj, the new Sudanese leader, is an Islamic fundamentalist. Oh, I don't know that, but we shall find more about him. The ICC is dead and buried. Ufa Ujams. Let the new authorities of Sudan maintain their firm decision. They will. I am here. Yes, I've started telling them what to do. We are not going to accept. We are not going to accept leaders to be shipped that side. ICC and the UN should cease operating in Africa. Thank you, you are right. I hate people talking about ICC. Just keep Africa business to Africans. Thank you. This is now good. Which way Africa? That's the spirit I want. Don't tell me, oh, sheep people. ICC is not Africa any good. Jenny Martins and Ogwoti Kony, then Obina and Gwen. 2 days ago, Atiku told the news outlet that the president's hire a look-alike of Buhari to stand in for him. Yes, Pinenen Nyamra, you are right, Dr. Matsanga. Tell us where you are calling, where you are writing from. We say not Africa will judge his own peoples. Africa, ICC was created to test scores by France. The French government created this ICC to square. If ICC is independent, why can't ICC arrest Paulo Biya, and take him to charge? Why? Why do they choose some Africans? Viewers, we move on. The situation is, as we talk, Democratic Republic of Congo. Which way Africa? Which way my mother country Africa? Congo had an election. Many people are coming out to say ICC is a gang of rapists. And has any European leader ever been tried in Africa? No. You are right, Dr. Matsanga. We strongly characterize that idea of taking African issues to Europe. We strongly refuse. Thank you very much. We should join Patrick Lumumba and Julius Malema to fight for one Africa. And that's what I'm doing. Lumumba and I are always on this platform talking about a one Africa, an Africa that can defend, an Africa that can have examples. But if we have bad examples, we cannot also attract people. Democratic Republic of Congo. The major players in the international community have accepted the outcome of January's elections in Democratic Republic of Congo in the name of stability. In doing so, they have failed to achieve what they wanted to achieve. They wanted a regime change. They never failed the people of Congo. Moreover, they have fallen short of aspirations of a good, sustainable government. Tshisekedi is a starting point for hope. the DRC problems can be resolved under the leadership in a good way through Tshisekedi. Tshisekedi is a listener. His father was a listener, and I believe the son will be the listener. I want to thank him, to encourage him to go across, cut across the political divide. Use the Kenyan handshake issue. Shake your hands with other people. Bring about a united Congo. The Congo that once Lumumba died for must rise and shine through you. President Tshisekedi, pick up the debris, pick up the soil. We have never buried Lumumba. Bury him by picking the soil and raising Africa. Let Africa rise and shine through Congo. The United States of America issued visa bans. They can issue the visa bans. What else? America needs you more than you need them. America comes to take our minerals, our gold, diamonds, uranium. All these things are found in Africa, not there. So there is no need of you getting worried. Take stand, put your stand. Stand as a gentleman. Stick to the principles of democracy. DRC Congo will rise and shine again. Zimbabwe, which way Africa? When you look in Zimbabwe, you find an Africa struggling with regime change. An Africa struggling with imposed external enemies coming into Africa to kill, to maim, to use opposition parties to fragment Africa. The case of Zimbabwe, where Chamisa is being used to kill, maim, and slaughter people, to call for mass protests. For what? Can Africa find a solution without mass protests? Does Zimbabwe need more damage than what it has got? Hasn't Zimbabwe got enough on their plate? Hasn't Mnangagwa tried to stabilize, to bring back the life that was lost in 37 years? Hasn't there been a way that people can see what it is that can be done? What is it that we need to do that can be brought to the senses that Africa needs a stable Africa? Zimbabwe needs your help. Zimbabwe needs Africa to sit down. The problems of Zimbabwe are economic difficulties, the economic nature of what has happened after sanctions. This country needs to come back, sit down, rearrange itself, bring about an Africa that is conducive for everybody. There is no need of getting scared. A better Zimbabwe in Southern Africa is a better Africa in the entire African continent. A better Zimbabwe in the Southern Africa is a better South Africa, is a better Namibia, is a better Mozambique, it is a better Malawi. All of us need to help to stand up, call for Africa Donor Conference, where each and every African continent must start helping each other. The plight of the people of Zimbabwe has been there for a long time. We still use a lot of rhetoric. How shall we solve the problem of Zimbabwe? How many Africans who are rich who can invest in Zimbabwe? How many? Many of you have money. Strife Masiwa has money. Why can't he call the rest of African leaders and the businessmen to crowd in Harare and help this Zimbabwe raise the fund as a donor fund for Zimbabwe? Why can't we do that? There are many Africans who would like to take up businesses in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, banking. Many Africans have money. Dagote, Masiwa, Momolem, all these, Mohammed, all these rich Africans, all these banking institutions can go and sit down and help this Zimbabwe. Why are we afraid, which way Africa? Why are we afraid? Why can't we help Zimbabwe? There are so many millionaires in Kampala. There are so many billionaires in Kenya. Why do we look at Africa and Kenya as I am here, I don't care what happens in Zimbabwe. I don't care what happens in Cameroon. And yet, in Cameroon, you have refugees that are flooding the streets of Nairobi. There are more Cameroonians on the streets of Nairobi than there are in Yaoundé. Yes, it is going to be like that. Because here is where they are coming free, very many of them. They are running away from persecution. And therefore we must question ourselves as Africans. What do we do? What do we do to stop such things? Which way Africa? Another country that I would like to look at is 10 minutes past the hour, and I will stop. I was supposed to stop. I've touched on Cameroon. Now I touch on my own country called Uganda. MATSANGA Africa Perspective usually intends not to discuss Uganda. But today's lineup by my editorial team decided that we shall discuss the difficulties, obstacles towards electoral reforms. The Uganda Electoral Commission yesterday said that the electoral reforms roadmap it launched at the end of last year still lacks funds, and so it will miss several deadlines that were set by the Electoral Commission of Uganda. The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, General Otafire Kahinda, told the Parliament last week that the government is not ready to table the much needed electoral reforms despite the deadline set by the Supreme Court expiring. Sources close to the NRM system say holding on for as long as it can to benefit the ruling party. For example, if you are going to reintroduce the bring back term limits, it could actually disadvantage the ruling party. Every minute counts, and every few months to 2021 polls, the argument will be about insufficient time and money. So there you are. As I've told you, I am not interested in the Uganda elections. I'm a Ugandan, but I will be interested when there is level ground, maybe today, or maybe in the future after 2021, because I don't see leveled grounds here. Therefore, count me out of the whole situation. So the bill is expected to seek the introduction of a federal government, reinstatement of presidential term limits, and a new method to appoint electoral commission. I don't see this bill is a heavy laden that will be on the people of Uganda to decide. The return of institutions of federal systems where one part could be bigger than the nation itself will be a very heavy tall order for the people of Uganda to discuss. So I wish you good luck, my people of Uganda. May God hold you while you discuss these bills. Cameroon. I talked about Cameroon at the opening, and I've done my bit. The leader needs to move. He needs to remove. Protesters are gathering momentum. They might do the Sudan way. So there you are. Morika Kamunto is still locked up on trumped-up charges, a leader of opposition languishing in prison in Cameroon. Gabon. President Ali Bongo of Gabon seemed to be facing an uphill task. But I want to make my position clear that I don't like Jinping, because Jinping helped to kill Gaddafi, helped the French delayed the plane of the 5 presidents who were going to plead with Gaddafi to go with them so that he leaves Libya and goes into exile and allow the planes not to come to bomb Tripoli. But Xi Jinping, as the chairperson of African Union, worked behind the scenes with the French intelligence systems and network and satellites, blocked the plane of the presidents, including President Museveni, to arrive in Tripoli. May his soul one day, that's the man I don't want to think about. I'm not interested in talking about him. So whatever happens in Gabon, the killing of Gaddafi has not solved anything for us. It has instead caused more problems with General Khalifa Haftar going all the way to Tripoli, bombing everybody. Where is General Haftar getting the planes? Where is he having the planes to go and bomb? There must be a country giving General Khalifa Haftar arms to kill the rest of the government, which is sponsored by the UN in Tripoli. This is Africa. Which way, Madagascar? South Sudan. Last week we saw on MATSANGA Africa Perspective, the South Sudanese leaders going into, I've dealt with it at the beginning when I was standing. But I want to tell you, this is a country, a sick child of East Africa. God does not drop the tears. God comes, cries, and drops no tears. I hope today, having gone to the Vatican, God will drop tears and unite. But Riek Machar says now, it can't be possible. On 12th of May, where we expected Riek Machar to fly in and consolidate the government that is in Juba. The delay will cause further unease among 12 million strong South Sudanese. Why can't we find a quick solution as to why are we delaying again? Instead of people coming to sit on table to discuss the way forward on what can be done in South Sudan. Time is ticking against us. Women are dying, children are dying, no schools, hunger is striking, rains are about to come. There is quite a lot of difficulties in South Sudan. Therefore, I believe something will be done to help this country from disintegrating further. Lastly, South Africa. South Africa is a country endowed with quite a lot of an apartheid regime infrastructure. The infrastructure that was left by apartheid propelled the 1994 post-independence South Africa to hold to power in a rainbow country. But of late, we have seen xenophobia, acts of xenophobia creeping in, coming back. But I'm glad to say the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations and International Cooperation, Minister Lindiwe Sisulu, has warned South Africans that practice this act of xenophobia that they will be dealt with in very serious, and they could be dragged in the highest court of the law. They should not kill foreigners. I want to appeal to South Africans that they also grew up in foreign countries. It is not very good for you to kill foreigners simply because they are foreigners. Let's have mercy upon each other. Let's live harmoniously. Let's live as brothers. Let's work for this continent of Africa. Which way, Mother Africa? In summary, this is my take. The current wave of regime change that is propelled from Tripoli, from Algiers, Khartoum, now Asmara, and it will spread on, shows the lack of accountability in institutions that were placed in power on the continent. But it also shows that there is an external wing, an external darker force that is funding, equipping, logistically, materially, the regime change tools that have been planted on African continent. Every election in Africa brings misery. Every election year, there is tension. Does Africa then need elections? Does Africa look at itself and want to conduct an election? Does Africa feel that they are capable of having an election, sustain an election, the winner accommodating the loser and the loser accepting, conceding to the loss? Have we got that type of people on the continent? The answer is no. Therefore, how long shall we continue to kill ourselves, to fight, to demonstrate in order to get our rights? Can't the leaders who are in power today see the two signs of Algeria and Khartoum and sit back and see why one would stay longer in Yaoundé? Why one would stay longer in Equatorial Guinea? Can't we sit and look at ourselves? Can't we self-critique? Why can these leaders save the people of Africa the time they spend on the streets trying to push them out? Africa is therefore suffering, and suffering indeed in the name of freedom, liberty, equality that Napoleon stood for. If Napoleon stood for those, liberty, equality, then why have we been denied? Why has the French systems denied most Africans in French-speaking countries that liberty and equality? Why? Napoleon fought for it in 1789 for 10 years. He got it, he brought it to the French. Why have you denied Africans to have it? I leave that question to many people. Which way, Mother Africa? Viewers, and we have very many people who have actually sent their messages, and we would like to read specifically on the story of Stoma Center of Kenya. We would like to say thank you very much. We have highlighted the issue on cancer and other related activities that we see. The Minister of Health has been tagged, and any questions regarding all this, you can contact a lady by name Sale Kwenda. Sale Kwenda can be got. She is the person working as a volunteer to bring in these bags that help cancer patients in hospitals. They need an exemption letter. Someone in cabs has held them in and out. I think being the Kenyan way, they want to eat some money from an NGO and a place which wants to bring these goods to help Kenyans. So contact Sale Kwenda, and this is the telephone number of Sale Kwenda. who actually insisted and they talked to us. They have written so many things on Twitter. They have written to State House. They have written everywhere. For us, we don't want you to advertise. We have advertised it for you. And the number to be contacted is 0725 234 935. Ministry of Health, the PA of the Minister, Cecily Kariuki, you have been notified. Contact that person called Sally Kwenda. She has a problem and those bags are running short in the hospitals in Kenya. We need those bags to be airlifted and exempted and marked as goods fit for the people of Kenya before they are brought here. This is a voluntary organization that is doing something for voluntary. And it has got its partners in Canada who want to give Kenyans who are suffering from cancer and related diseases bags for, keep small bags. I think they are called stoma. I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot go into much of those details, but I've done my best to bring the message to the public. Thank you very much, Zimbabwe culture, and thank you very much, Mohta Makwach. Dr. Nyekora, did you know Cuba has some of the best, if not the best cancer medicines in the world? You say buy it from Cuba. It is true. Mr. Mohta Makwach, a Sudanese himself, and whatever he is. Zimbabwe culture, thank you very much. You are talking about the situation in Zimbabwe, about the social contract that we have in Zimbabwe. That is very good. Thank you very much. I will read. Kanga got, yet ICC did not issue any arrest warrants against him for all crimes he had committed. Hello, everybody. I agree with you. Dr. David Nyekoraj, the killing of Gaddafi was unfortunate indeed. Watching from Sacras, New York, United States, Bashir and his associates must face justice by all means. Yeah, that justice will be first in Khartoum, not The Hague. Zimbabwe culture, Dr. MATSANGA, very true. Indeed, unity is power. Agot, Gwen, Makta, well, does Bashir respect Arusha though? You brothers of Africa don't understand. But we are not also expecting The Hague. If America can refuse The Hague, who are we? Who are we to agree to go to The Hague? Don't take us back. Don't take us back. We are way forward, Mr. Agot Angwen. Makta, send Bashir to Arusha, not The Hague. Yes, that's what we shall do. You are right about the brother Kanga Got. All computers and other minerals are made from devices, are made from minerals stolen from Congo. It is true. And we keep on stealing them. Kabila stole and left and went. Now, President Buhari is choosing Atiku to be a Cameroonian. That is the cheapness of African politics. Why did they allow him to be a vice president the other time? And today, because he has filed an application, he has become a Cameroonian. Silly. We can't believe in such things. Thank you very much. Contact Sarah Kwenda for bags to help cancer patients on telephone 0725 34 935. Please repeat the phone number. Thanks, Dr. Matanga. The number is, wherever you are in the world, contact this number to help the cancer patients, because I know most of you are in the diaspora. Her name is Sally Kwenda. Kwenda for bags, to help the cancer patients. She has bags, but she has been, since December, been tossed by CAB's authorities, who have refused to accept the bags to be flown into the country. Maybe they have seen there is nothing they are going to eat out of them. Corruption in Kenya is rampant. Therefore, we put you on red flag. CABs, you are on red flag, Baba. Mr. Matiang'i will be there. Thank you. Thank you very much. This station is for us to work together. This is for Africa. Anything that you have in your country that you need to advertise or tell us what we should say, we can say it. Don't bring malice, don't fight, don't bring divisions. Stay as a united Africa. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for having listened to me for 1.5 hours. I now say this station is for Africa, with Africa, and by Africa. Ciao.